Welcome to the Waverly Utilities Board of Trustees meeting here at the Chamber Council too. We will do any agenda management. I think we do have a change to the agenda.
Yes, the ECA discussion, we'll be moving that to October's discussion. So.
Perfect. So do I have a motion and a second to accept the agenda with those changes?
Move approval as amended agenda, as the amended agenda.
We're having a hard time today.
I'll second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Say nay. And motion passes. We will open up the public forum, which I don't think anybody's here unless you guys want to have double talk here.
Neither of us are residents of the community,
Yep.
so I feel like we should not.
Okay, consider it not done then, too. So I will go ahead and close the public forum. The consent agenda includes the minutes, the WMEU trade accounts, the WCU trade accounts, and the internal control payroll. Any items up for discussion?
Looks good. Move approval.
I'll second.
If no objections, items are approved as presented. We'll move on to the action items for Waverly Utilities. And nothing was on there. And information items. We do have something. The Voice of the Consumer report.
Yes. Hi, I'm Chelsea Morrison from the University of Northern Iowa Strategic Marketing Services, and thanks for having me back again. This is our 6th time, I believe, conducting this survey for you guys. We started in 2015, and then we've done it every 2 years after that. So I'm going to start by going over the methodology of our research and then followed by kind of an overview of the survey results by topic area and then some key takeaway points to put everything together. So our objective this year was to continue to monitor customer feedback, especially related to your products and services currently and customer service quality, then looking at renewable energy and future services and the overall perceptions of Waverly Utilities. And for each of our topic areas, our charts are going to show the current year, 2025, and then the 2 past studies, so 2023 and 2021. And then similar to last time, we'll have that historic average that'll show on there as well, so we can see how everything compares back. So this year we used a similar methodology as the past couple of studies. We sent out the survey to 2,000 randomly selected residential households, and then we also sent an additional 500 to that younger demographic, the 18 to 39-year-olds, to help boost that. We did have an online survey option again this year and had a drawing for a $100 Amazon e-gift card as an incentive. Similar to the past study, we launched a social media campaign and we specifically targeted Waverly residents ages 18 to 59. And we offered up to the first 100 respondents their choice of a $5 gift card to a local business. So we ended up having a total of 402 completed surveys, and that was a statistically valid sample that was able to be achieved. And we were a little bit more critical again this year with those over the age of 60. So we made sure that they fully completed the survey, and whenever we had some that had missing or incomplete information, we didn't include those in the sample. So we did weight the sample again this year to really help match the population demographics of Waverly by age. And had the sample been kept unweighted, then the results would have skewed a little bit towards that older demographic. So weighing the sample really kind of provides a better reflection of the total population. So then diving into the demographics, overall they were very similar to the past 2 studies. There has been a steady increase in respondents who've lived in Waverly for 5 to 9 years, and that was really the main difference there. As far as news and service updates go, respondents continued to prefer updates from the Waverly Utilities newsletter or by email. We also had just over 1/3 of people say they prefer to get updates from social media. And then those green circles there on the screen, and I'll have those on a few other slides as well, indicate when there's a statistically significant difference. And so we can see this year, 2025, respondents were significantly less likely to prefer updates from the website and TV commercials compared to 2023. So next we'll dive into service quality. And we had the overall number of calls to Waverly Utilities showed that telecom bill questions were the most frequent at 21%, and that was followed by electric bill questions at 13%. And then new this year, we also asked about water, sewer, and garbage bill questions, and that came in third at 11.2%. And we had about half of respondents that did not contact Waverly Utilities for any reason. Then for office staff ratings, we saw customer service quality increase significantly in 2025 across all of the categories. And the largest increases were for timely resolution, showing genuine concern, and being friendly. And they just continue to remain at a high level overall. It ranged from 4.42 to 4.64 on that scale of up to 5. And Waverly Utilities was rated highest for acting professionally, being friendly, and having timely resolution.
That's a kudos. That's,
Yeah, that's great to see those increases across the board. And then it was same with office staff. Service quality from Waverly Utilities office staff also increased significantly to 4.59 out of 5. So that was also great to see. Okay, then as far as tech visits go, there were less tech visits in 2025 compared to the past 2 studies. Visits from telecom tech specifically continued to dominate this year. And then in 2025, overall, technician customer service attribute means also increased across all of the areas, so that's great news as well. Back up near 2021 levels, and that ranged from 4.70 to 4.80 out of 5. And the technicians were most highly rated for proactively solving problems and being knowledgeable.
good job, Jeff.
Yeah. And then we also, looking at the tech visits and overall satisfaction, that also increased to 4.73 in 2025. Those small sample sizes make it a little bit more difficult to compare year-to-year comparisons for those individual categories, but the overall satisfaction is looking good. Next, we asked respondents to rate their level of agreement with 5 different general utility attributes. And this time we saw the highest rated was continuing to be outstanding electric service reliability, followed by being a locally owned utility and having prompt and responsive customer service. And all those ratings remained fairly steady, and most even increased slightly from the last study. Again, outstanding electric service reliability and prompt responsive customer service, those increased significantly this past year. Next, we asked respondents to rank their top 3 most important attributes. And note for this one, the lower the mean or the closer that it is to 1 means that it's more important. So similar to the past 2 surveys, having low prices and being a reliable provider ranked at the top, but the order actually did change this year with keeping low prices coming out on top. And this year, respondents did provide a significantly lower rating for being a reliable utility provider comparing back to the past study. So overall satisfaction with Waverly Utilities also increased slightly to 4.42 this year, and that can really assure you that customers are continuing to maintain a high overall perception of Waverly Utilities as an organization. Then looking among age groups, we could see that respondents age 60 and above rated their overall perception significantly higher than those that were in that 40 to 59 age group. So I found that interesting. Okay, next we'll go into internet services. We found that nearly 93% of respondents this year have internet services in their home, and that's primarily from Waverly Utilities. And that did increase slightly compared to the past 2 studies. And we continue to see MediaCom and CenturyLink decrease this year as well. For those that are currently not using Waverly Utilities internet services, about half said that it is too expensive, which was a significant increase from the past survey. And there was a significant decrease in those that said the internet speed is not fast enough. That went down to just 5.8% this year. And we had just under a third say that they had other reasons. And so I've listed some of those top reasons that were mentioned, which included being loyal to their current provider that they've had for many years, just not really having a reason to switch, or not wanting to switch due to paying a hookup fee. Then as far as satisfaction ratings go, we also saw here that Waverly utility customers reported slightly higher satisfaction across almost all of those service attributes. And the top rated ones were being knowledgeable, with tech support, being responsive to problems, and the ease of tech support contact. And Waverly Utilities especially outperformed MediaCom in the ease of tech support contact, responsiveness to problems, and being knowledgeable about tech support. Then when we look back to comparing to the past study in 2023, Waverly Utilities' performance really remained about the same. There was a slight increase across 4 of the categories: speed of service, ease of tech support, contact, knowledgeable tech support, and then responsiveness to problems. So next we'll move into paid TV services. We found this year that just over 60% of respondents do currently have paid TV services at home, which was a slight decrease from the past study, but still higher than 2021. We found that those lower age groups, the 18 to 39 and 40 to 59-year-olds, are significantly less likely to have paid TV services at home. And just 40% of respondents use Waverly Utilities currently for cable and satellite services, and that was a significant decrease from the past year. What we did see is close to half of respondents now have the streaming TV providers, and that was a significant increase from 2023. The other competitors, Dish Network, MediaCom, and DirecTV, we continue to see that downward trend there for them. And we also saw, looking at age groups, those respondents over the age of 60 were significantly more likely to have Waverly Utilities, while the younger demographic, 18 to 39, were significantly more likely to have the streaming providers. And then we asked a follow-up question to those who are not currently using Waverly Utilities, and the top reasons are that it is too expensive or the channel lineup is insufficient. So I included some of the other frequently mentioned reasons, which included just people preferring streaming services, having no desire to change, or just not watching much TV overall. We had a few people request specific channels. Most of those were targeted around sports. So we had Big Ten Network mentioned, college sports, FanDuel sports, and then Showtime was mentioned as well. Next, we asked about reasons that respondents chose their cable and satellite service provider. And for 2025, price, ease of use, and channel lineup were the top 3. And specifically for Waverly Utility customers, they reported local ownership as being the top reason, followed by multiple services in one bill, and then third was price. And then customers of Dish Network, they tend to view channel lineup as the top factor, while MediaCom and DirecTV customers see price as the top factor. And also over 2/3 of streaming TV provider customers also selected price as the top factor. So then taking a look at satisfaction ratings this year as compared to the past years, we see ease of tech support, contact, and responsiveness to problems. Waverly Utilities received the top for those. And streaming TV providers were rated higher than Waverly Utilities for channel lineup and price/value. Providers also rated higher on picture quality and reliability of service. But again, it's important to note that small sample size for some of the competitors that makes some of those, looking at the comparisons there, we need to note with caution. So then we asked a new question this year: if Waverly Utilities were to no longer provide paid TV services, what would respondents do? And we found that just under a third of respondents would switch to a streaming TV provider. And additionally, about 11% said they would switch to a different cable or satellite TV provider. And only 8% would no longer have any paid TV services. And about half said that they were not sure. Those age groups, again, those over the age of 60 were significantly more likely to consider switching to a different cable or satellite TV provider. Okay, so then we found that over 10% of respondents discontinued cable and satellite service in the past 12 months, and just over 40% of those discontinued were from Waverly Utilities, while about 35% were Mediacom and 14% had DirecTV before discontinuing. The top reason was that it was no longer affordable, and that was followed by preferring online streaming. And then about 14% said that they didn't watch enough to get their money's worth. Okay, so next we'll move into telephone services. And again, this year we found that 2/3 of respondents have cell phones only, which was actually a significant increase from 2023. Just under 3% have a landline only, and about 13% have both. And there was actually a significant increase in respondents using Waverly Utilities for phone services this year compared to the past two studies. Again, this year we had about 17% of people that said that they did not have telephone services, which we really believe is just people misreading the question. Because according to Pew Research, we have about, 99% of Americans that have some sort of phone service. I'm just gonna get a drink of water. So then, if we move into reasons for not using Waverly Utilities, we found that Waverly Utilities, for those that are not currently using Waverly Utilities, the top reason is that they have it bundled with another telecom provider. And then over 1/4 think that it is too expensive. About 62% of respondents do have a landline for emergencies and E911 service. We found about 33% as part of their telecom package, and 1/4 have it for the directory or phone book listing. And then about 21% have it because it is affordable. So I've included a couple of those other reasons up there too, including having a backup for cell phones, just the convenience of having a landline, caption call, and being hearing aid friendly. So we can see that Waverly Utilities continue to outperform CenturyLink and Mediacom in the areas of sound clarity and reliability. And Mediacom slightly outperformed Waverly Utilities this year in the areas of price offered. But overall, Waverly Utilities was rated highest for reliability, and that was followed closely by sound clarity. Then we did ask a question again about community engagement, and we found on that scale of 0 to 5, a total of about 89% of respondents do believe that Waverly Utilities should continue to engage in supporting community activities beyond just providing utility services. And about 61% of respondents reported high and significant engagement. Okay, so then we asked a few questions about renewable energy and future services. And we saw that respondents had the highest support for their monthly bill staying the same, which isn't surprising, with a mean rating of 8.69 out of that 10-point scale. And the level of support you can see continues to drop when the monthly bill increases. And we saw that the level of support drops significantly when the monthly bill increases up to 10%, only about a third would support it at that level, and then it continues to decrease from there. We asked a question again about climate change, and we found that just under half of respondents are concerned or very concerned about climate change, which was a decrease of about 9% since the past study. And just over 1/4 are slightly concerned, and 17% are not at all concerned. Among those age groups, again, we did see that respondents age 60 and above were significantly more likely to be concerned about climate change compared to those younger demographics. We asked a question about interest in new services, and respondents would most like to see home monitoring to be added, and that would be followed by an app to manage internet usage and stats. That was at 22% of respondents. And the 18 to 39-year-olds were significantly more likely of wanting that service. And we actually had several respondents that mentioned an interest in an app to track utility usage and having the ability to have an online bill pay that had no service fee. So that may be something to consider as well. Okay, so putting it all together, we continue to keep seeing prices being low. That's respondents, and they perceive that telecom prices are more fair than electric prices. Waverly Utilities internet, telephone, and cable TV received the second highest satisfaction for price and value after competitors. Keeping prices low, again, is the most important attribute for municipal utilities, followed by being a reliable provider. We are continuing to see cable and satellite TV subscriptions continue to decrease while streaming is gaining popularity, and this was the first year that we saw the streaming providers kind of overtake Waverly Utilities' market share. The younger demographic, those 18 to 39-year-olds, are significantly less likely to have paid TV service. Then again, as we talked about, there's a low level of support for renewable energy services if the monthly bill increases. We did find that less than half of customers continue to be concerned or very concerned about climate change, and community engagement is important to customers. There is a moderate interest in adding home monitoring services, as well as some apps to manage internet usage. And those younger demographic, again, are significantly more interested in those services. So we saw that Waverly Utilities tends to dominate, so that's great for service delivery against competitors. Customers reported the highest satisfaction for Waverly compared to competitors in 3 of the internet attributes, 2 of the cable TV, 2 of telephone. And then the ratings have really increased across nearly all categories this year, so that has been great. We've seen internet, cable TV, and telephone ratings have increased slightly in some areas while decreasing in others, but it's remained fairly steady compared to the past 2 studies. And looking at just the high overall perception of Waverly Utilities, that increased again this year to 4.42, so it's really good news for you guys overall this year. So yeah, I'll take any questions if there's any.
I know you do some other providers. Can you talk about the differences between other provider surveys, that, especially municipalities compared to us? Anything that, you know, jumps out?
I would say, again, the cable TV services kind of decreasing and streaming gaining popularity is something that everyone, all the munis have been facing lately. We've even had some studies where we've completely removed that section just because those munis have just decided it's not really worth asking questions about because they know the service is going down, so they choose to focus on other areas. We've been looking into doing more questions about like electric peak use, those kind of topic areas, and more, electric vehicles and some of those up and coming type of services. So that'll be something that we could look at for next time with this survey too, if there's other, areas that might be interesting to explore.
Okay. And Kurt, I see like customer service has some real improvements. Is that you cracking the whip, or is it something else?
No, We have implemented some training with customer service staff that they've gone and kind of did the verbal judo training and such, so I think they're gonna have a different approach to customers that might be upset with their electric bill or something, so I don't know if that maybe had an impact on it. but,
Yeah, it looks like it.
Definitely seen an improvement there, though.
Yeah, that was a really stark improvement, so I think really kudos to the staff
Yeah, that's great.
and you guys, so good job there. Did see price pressure.
Right, that continues to be important.
Maybe
I
across
think
the board.
that's just the economic standard across
It
any
is,
sort of
yeah.
service, you know, there's more pressure on people to, everything has gone up in cost, and so the basic needs becomes more pressure to keep those level if possible, so, very typical. I would just add, you know, it's great that there were increases this
You
year.
want to come up to the mic?
Oh, sure. I would just say overall, keep in mind that you're going to see fluctuation every time we do this study. And there's going to be a group of people that maybe were disappointed, and those people are usually a little bit more motivated to participate. Not always, but you're going to see some cyclical things. But I think the customer service part, especially if you have done training, I think I would make that connection, that probably was the result of increase, ties back to that for sure. So, but just to keep in mind that the next time we do it, we might have a little bit of a downward trend, but overall, you guys have very high satisfaction across all of the categories. I think we see that trend especially with municipal utilities, not so much the public privates. So you guys have that advantage of having a small community feel and people support, and there's a community reason to support the utility rather than a public-private where it is a little bit more about getting what you pay for, that kind of attitude. So that makes sense.
Across this survey, some of the other ones you've done, that sort of thing, do you find that there are certain age group demographics that are kind of harsher on a 5-point scale versus others? Like, are younger people less willing to give out 5-star versus older, or reverse?
I think it just kind of depends year to year, but in the report, we noted like whenever there's a significant decrease, so usually it was between, you know, that the youngest demographic, the 18 to 39, compared to the 60 and above, and I think the 60 and above tend to have those higher ratings, so in some of the categories, I would say.
And then, was there a difference in respondents for age groups who did reach out to the utilities versus those who didn't? So were there more
Look back.
individuals over 39 that reached out versus the younger generation there?
Yeah, that's a really great question. I probably have to go back to the data and look at like the specific numbers of how many, but I can definitely take a look at that this afternoon and send an email to Jen to forward to you, because I know there were differences in the groups, but we did weight the sample this year, so that kind of tried to, you know, have it match the overall population. So we did have fewer in those younger age groups, so when we weighted the sample, then we had to give that kind of a higher weight compared to the kind of reducing the voice of those over 60.
Okay.
When we went through this, I probably could have guessed what a lot of this stuff is.
Right,
like-
yeah, so a
But was
lot
there
of it
anything
makes
that like
sense.
surprised you from going through this?
Not too much. I mean, I would say a lot of it is pretty consistent year to year, and what we're seeing with other municipal utilities too, especially with cable. You know, it wasn't too surprising to see the streaming providers, you know, leap and the market share for you guys go down a bit. I don't think there was anything that really surprised me or threw me for a loop.
I'm not going to disagree with you, but I'm.
Yeah, is there anything
I
else
just
you
remember,
found out?
yeah, because
Yeah.
Chelsea manages the project, and I get to come in and read it at the last minute and give her commentary. So sometimes my perspective is a little more broad. But I would say we really are seeing kind of a climate change interest. You probably saw that that's cooling a little bit. That would be one thing that I think is going to, again, fluctuate depending on what side of the aisle is in charge of things, but that is something I think at least over the next little while, I think you're gonna see that interest at least remain the same. I don't think you're gonna see a lot of upward pressure there. And you can see that it was in two questions, so it was about the monthly bill with the renewables. I mean, that was down even more than it was the last time, and then the concern about climate change was declining. So I think people are more in the middle than they used to be kind of. I don't want to say it's popular because I'm not here to comment either way, but we saw a lot more of people concerned or very concerned, and now I feel like it's more moderate.
This is more probably a question for Jen too, even though you're not up at the mic too. What's your kind of plan for this to kind of launch this out to the public and everybody else? Or maybe you don't even know at this point too.
Yeah, we share it with our employees, so we'll share that tomorrow. And then we can post it to the website, and we really don't go real far into like sharing it as a whole to the public. In the past anyway.
I think maybe just for me, but I'm kind of a nerd when it comes to statistics too. Like, I think this really tells a story for sure to be able to push out on social media with not only our good things, but some of the things that people have concerns about pricing and stuff, and how we are affected by some of the pricing that happens to us that we have to pass down. I think it tells a good story of why sometimes we can't be that super low provider too. Bob and Jackie, do you have any questions?
No, I don't think so.
I think Jackie said no, didn't she? Okay, perfect. Anybody else? No. Thank you guys for coming over here too, for presenting.
I just want to say thank you. It's a privilege to do this project for you guys every 2 years, and we don't take that for granted, so thank you.
Thank you.
See you again in 2 years.
Yes.
Nothing else on informational items. We will move to other business, but there's nothing on agenda. Okay. Board calendar. Anything of note for October? Budget review and set the date for the budget public hearing. Any comments, questions? Okay. We will now look at the action items for the Waverly Municipal Electric Utility. We will review and approve the WME financials. Do I have a motion in a second?
Move approval.
Second.
Any discussion or questions?
I see our investment funds have went to iPaid, so that looks like we'll gain some more interest income this next year, so I appreciate that.
Yep. Well, yeah, it's definitely a little better interest bearing accounts that we put that money into.
And I know you feel good with the numbers, you want to just?
Well, yeah, revenue for the year is up. That's mostly driven by the warmer temperatures we've had this year. We had a little bit more of a, I'd say, normalized winter, and then probably a little bit higher temperature for the summer months. So we see revenues are up across the rate classes. We do have kilowatt, that kind of reflects back into the kilowatt hour sales, but expenses are definitely on the rise. And the driving factors on those are the purchase power and transmission cost. Transmission for the year is up 20.3%, and we're seeing about an upwards pressure of about 8% on purchase power. There's a tie to that as well for Wise and Walter Scott 4, and that they've had some expenses that have come along that the utility is responsible for. So we've seen some upward pressure for sure on the expense side of things, which in today's environment is kind of expected. So we'll continue monitoring it. Talked to Kelly a little bit about the possibility of how we might be looking as we get closer to the end of the calendar year on the budget. Right now, we are still in the black for the possibility of amending the budget as we sit here today, but it's a razor thin margin. We're only about 140,000 to the good right now, so there might be a possibility we get to later in the year of a possible amendment for the 2025 budget. we'll bring that back to the board in November when we get a little bit closer, final numbers.
The Loiza and WS4, do we get an idea what's driving additional expenses there, or do we just get a bill?
Well, it's a little both, Andrew. We do get a good budget basis from Mid-American Energy, and you'll see that when we get to the 2026 discussion. Walter Scott and Wise do a really good job on giving kind of the forecast of what they're looking at for capital improvements at those facilities. What you're seeing here are increased costs due to failures, things that are on plan, breakdowns and such. So yes, those are the ones that kind of come out of right field, and to answer your question, yes, we just get a bill.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. 5-0. Next, resolution 23-25 reimbursement resolution.
Move approval.
Second.
Any discussion or questions?
It's just our standard reimbursement resolution if we ever need a bond.
Okay, Angie, would you like to call roll?
Brunkhorst,
Aye.
Kaler,
Aye.
Hanson,
Aye.
Buckingham,
Yes.
Kettleson.
Yes. Resolution passes 5-0. Information items, Kurt.
Good budget.
We're looking at the preliminary 2026 WMEU budget.
Discussion? Comments?
Angie doesn't have that on here, we're just throwing it to you.
Yep, you're fine. So, staff has spent the last several months on looking through the budget for 2026. I've indicated in a couple past board meetings, we definitely are seeing some stiff headwinds on the budget planning for next year. Some of those main drivers that we're seeing is purchase power and transmission cost. Both of those components may close up to a little over 60% of our annual budget. But we are seeing drivers in the market of transmission to the tune of double-digit rate increases next year. We're seeing anywhere from 15 to 30% increases. As I indicated, for 2025, we're about a little over 20% right now. We are anticipating purchase power to continue to increase as well. As you can see, I went back and looked from 2025 to 2026, we've included an additional 2% increase from the previous year just for purchase power and transmission cost. We anticipate instability in the marketplace. We'll continue to see that for the foreseen future through next year. We don't see a lot of rate relief out there. Things that are really driving the transmission market is the MISO, who controls the transmission grid here in the middle of the country, is really looking at some significant increases in transmission construction in the next 10 to 15 years, and we're already starting to see some of those costs. Transmission costs today are being impacted by the development of AI data centers. There may not be a lot of AI data centers here in Iowa right now. We're still interconnected in the grid where those costs are being passed on to consumers. So, like I said, some very stiff headwinds coming on that front. Kind of looking at the major capital projects for next year, we have a slight decrease in transformer substation projects that we had forecasted for next year, but we made up for it in the Wise and Walter Scott 4 coal plant projects that might be coming down the pipeline. We had an increase of about $60,000 from 2025 in that category. We look into the assumptions of the budget. Kept operating revenues about $22 million. We are proposing in this budget for 2026 a 5% increase on residential and municipal services, and a 6% increase on commercial and industrial services. We're keeping kilowatt hour sales flat for 2026, and we're seeing some of that upwards pressure from the purchase power and transmission side that's driving that. We have a general increase for health insurance and other insurances of 3% for health insurance and 2% for other. And we budgeted for purchase power an increase of 6% from just the purchase power side of it, a 6% increase in fixed cost recovery charge, and a 15% increase in transmission charges. So again, when we look at over 67% of the budget, those are significant driving factors for what we're proposing for a rate increase next year to cover those costs. Outside of that, we don't really have any significant capital projects planned outside of our standard operations and maintenance of the distribution system. This year, as we speak, we're doing a large transmission project between two substations. That's a kind of a one-off every 50-year project, but we'll be maintaining mostly some capital projects around the community, distribution upgrades and such, kind of our normal scope of work on that front. Outside of that, those were the main points of the budget for 2026. Again, this is kind of our first take at the budget for the board to see. We'll have another review in October and then approval in November. Let's discuss from this meeting and the next subsequent meetings.
So first glance, 5% increase on residential and 6% on commercial. It's, we just heard the survey, so I won't speak about that. 3% increase in health insurance. What I was just reading, it may be a little bit more. Is that?
We don't have it yet.
Yeah, market-wise, I don't know if that's going to come in at 3%, so. I was a big pusher of the decommissioning fund, but I kind of here, and, I don't know if we should, I'd like to have you think about it. I don't know if going back to maybe to like a $50,000 a year amount into the decommission fund and then cap it at something. Because after I reviewed the Mid-America stuff I sent you a long time ago, I mean, it doesn't look like they are going to close down early. They feel confident they're not, and because kind of like what Kurt said, it is flipped upside down from 5 years ago that we're in the United States are going to have more need for electricity because the data centers, IA, the cloud, et cetera. So.
Yeah, we can definitely look at that. I don't disagree with that at all. We began that fund for kind of looking at 15-year down the road costs that will eventually hit. There has been a lot of relief and discussion on retirement of fossil fuel facilities in the industry. MEAN is seeing that. They've extended out some of their capital assets that they own and operate. A big driver again, there's some administration decisions that are behind that, but also the development of AI data centers.
Yeah.
I mean, an example, I was at a MEAN meeting a couple of weeks ago, and there was a speaker from the Energy Authority who manages the power into the kind of more the southern and the MISO markets for MEAN. And he'd given an indication that there's a data center in Louisiana that's being built right now. It sits on 2,250 acres. It's a 4 million square foot facility, and it's anticipated it will use 3 times the amount of energy of the city of New Orleans on an annual basis. So when you look in the capacity side of it, that capacity is going to come from somewhere. And there's only so much capacity in the market today because of past decisions that are made, either not permitting fossil fuel plants, not permitting nuclear plants. There is really no new capacity coming into the market right now. There's nothing really in the pipe for permitting. People should kind of anticipate building a fossil fuel plant or a nuclear plant. It doesn't happen in a week or two. It's more of a 10 to 15 year project from the time of conception to construction is completed. There's been a relief of federal funding for renewable energy. Basically, at the end of this month, there is no more funding for new generation for solar and wind production in the United States. So you're really going to be hitting some really stiff headwinds in the capacity market where there's simply going to be not enough capacity, and that's what's driving the cost up.
So yeah, if you could maybe take a look at that.
When Kelly gets back, we'll take a look at that for sure.
You know, I always talk about the Renewable Energy Fund, you know, and correct me if I'm wrong, I mean, we were getting about 100,000 from the green energy, and maybe some energy tax, but that pretty much is all kind of going away, so our fund will be sitting at this amount.
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
We'll have, and I believe one more disbursement in the Green Energy Fund for the W project. I think
It didn't
that's-
look like it in here.
Okay, might have been this year, then it was the last year before it, so.
Okay.
But yeah, that fund will pretty much stay right where it's sitting right now.
Okay. And I didn't see anything else, I mean,
We combed through the budget very significantly, down to about as minimal as we can get, but still maintaining projects and reliability for the community. So there's not a lot of extras built into this year's budget, for sure.
Obviously, I'm aware of the survey results here and that sort of thing too, but I am a little concerned about the 5% residential, 6% commercial not being sufficient. From a property insurance standpoint, it sounds like rates are going to continue to increase and potentially getting close to double-digit numbers. You know, I think we were surprised by means, you know, this last year.
Referring back to May.
Yeah.
The presentation, yeah. So that will definitely have an impact. Kelly and I have had quite a few discussions on the rate stabilization fund. We know in beginning of 2027 through 2029, there will be significant capital costs coming from MEAN for their assets that they own. We have really no say in what happens in those assets. You know, there's fossil fuel plants, but mostly picking on coal, where turbines need to be broken down and repaired and rebuilt. Those are the types of capital projects that are going to be done, and they need to be done. It's a working engine, basically, that needs maintenance at some point. So we know 27, 28, 29 will be definitely seeing significant rate pressure on potentially double-digit rate increases those 3 years. If you go back to the May meeting with what MEAN had presented, you know, that's coming down the pipe. So we started having those conversations with Kelly and I with the rate stabilization fund, continue to build that up to hedge off some of the rate increases we may be seeing in the future there, so it's not quite as an impactful event for the consumer.
Bob and Jackie?
You know, I got a few questions that I told Kurt I think some of it relates to the ECA and so on, so I think I want to think about it a little bit and maybe have some discussion with Kurt and even Dave Berg a little bit, so, yeah.
Any other discussion, questions for Kurt? Okay. No action is needed on this item.
No, I will revise the budget and comb back through it. I know what Bob, you mentioned with health insurance. By the time we get the October review, I made a move this year to reallocate the renewal period for the overall insurance for the utility, liability, workman's comp and such. So that renews September 1st of every year now. So we'll have hard numbers versus kind of a guesstimate when we're doing the budget process, and we'll look in, and then we don't get the final number until March of the following year. So that'll hopefully kind of stabilize that fund a little bit. But as we get closer to fourth quarter this year, we'll have the insurance numbers built in.
yeah, I just read an article
Yeah.
this weekend, and it didn't look good for
No.
next year.
No.
Okay, monthly department reports. Kelly, AKA Kurt.
So obviously Kelly spent quite a bit of her time working on budgets for the 2026 budget. And she did complete the Great Iowa Treasure Hunt. This is the reporting requirement for payments that are delinquent that we can go back and collect on, but we have to do annual haulings on that. So she completed estimated tax replacement forms and just general accounting and CSR functions for the departments.
Jen?
So some of the bigger projects for August was reminding our customers about back-to-school energy saving tips. So that was both just grade school dorm tips as well of how to save energy and to be safe. The customer service survey was completed, as you know, so I help facilitate and work with SMS marketing so that we can get that out to our customers. I have begun initial website work, and we've begun the strategies and meetings that have taken place with that. The goal is to have that up and running by the end of this December. So that has started to take shape a little bit. And then the social media posts and interactions that I do.
I think one thing that I was surprised about in that survey, Jen, was how many people get their information from the mailer. Like,
Right.
you know, as mail's kind of going out the way, like I was surprised how many people get their information.
Our newsletter has, since we've been doing these surveys, has been the top way that they do like their communication, and maybe it's because we've kind of trained them to get that. The second one was social media. Again, that's their, a whole genre of people that follow the social media. We do Facebook, and we don't have as strong of a presence on Instagram, but we do as Instagram as well.
One question with the rebrand, sorry, Rhea.
No, go ahead.
One question with the website work. Remind me, will this allow people to start and stop service from the website, or no, is that still not a part of this?
They can stop and start. We have a section of that on our website even now, of stopping and starting service.
And making a deposit and everything?
I'd have to go back and look exactly. I don't think they still have to come in person to do that.
That's our requirement, Iowa Utility Commission requirement, they need to show a photo ID, so they still need to somehow get that to us. I think in some of the modules though, the new website that's being designed, there will be functionality
Upload.
parts that we will be able to purchase as we move forward with it. We wanted to kind of get the base built with the new website and then be able to move into having customers start and stop service online. Go that route. So there'll be some integration there with the billing system and such.
Yeah, with this new company, Blue Compass, they, as like Kurt said, there'll be additional features that we can add on. It's not included in this very first round of them, but it's something that we can budget for in the future to add that onto it.
I just know I get that complaint a lot from my
Yeah.
clients. I still have to go there, I'm busy, it's 4 o'clock on a Friday, I can't get there, things like that too. So.
Yeah.
Well, that was the purpose of developing the new website, was to have that functionality. The current website can't do it, doesn't even have the option to do it. We'll be able to add the modules at some point, but then you're going to work in conjunction with the billing system. So we wanted to get the base built, get familiarity with the billing, the new website, and then work from there. So stay tuned, it's coming.
Jen, on the mailers that go out, I obviously take a look at those when I get them, but do you put them on like the Facebooks, on Facebook, so that way people can
Yes,
view them online?
and then on our website as well.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Back to Kurt?
Okay, so operations, so we're in the midst of trying to get construction not quite wrapped up yet, but we're middle of September already. We've got kind of, I don't want to say the rule is because we've had some very mild winters the last couple of winters. We're able to work late into the season, but we end up with a hard freeze or something at some point, late October, November timeframe. It kind of shuts us down pretty quick. So crews are scrambling to get a few projects started and wrapped up. The 12th Street Northwest project is mostly done right now. Done some scheduled pole replacements. We assisted Waverly College last month on some primary transformer repairs. Waverly College is a primary customer, so we just serve to a meter in a substation. Waverly owns everything, the transformers, the lines, and all that. But they do ask for assistance, if they are doing mostly the maintenance work side of stuff, doing repairs there for them, help them out. Probably the big project that got underway in just the last couple of weeks, or just last week, is the transmission rebuild between the West Load and the South Load Center. That transmission line is 50 years old, life expectancy at 35. So we've made it a priority to get that transmission line rebuilt, which is going to involve replacement of the poles, the overhead infrastructure, the wires and such, and then some underbuild that our staff at Waverly Utilities will be taking care of. So primary work will be done by a licensed contractor that specializes in transmission construction, but they've been on site now for about a week and a half starting that work. So hope to have that wrapped up by November. Generation staff is kind of wrapping up their mid-year maintenance agenda items. They're moving into the modernization work on engine 7 now that we're past the 1st of September. We can take those engines down and have them down for an extended period of time. So that work has begun. And then we're still working on EWT wind turbines. We had crews on site last week continuing to work. We ran into a supply chain issue where there's 3 rotary pitch blade motors that have gone bad, and they have a lead time of 16 to 20 weeks. So what we did is we took the motors off one turbine that was working, or they were both not working. Took the motors off the one that was able to get repaired, and so we were able to get one turbine up and running. We just have one non-functioning turbine right now. So
The one that hasn't been working for,
about this year, yep, most of this year.
and with it not being working, is there any other potential issues of not running it and things like that? Or?
There was, and we've gotten past that now,
Okay.
to where it kind of rotates out of the bearing, so we don't get bearing sag and such in it. So it's we're past that point. The turbines have all been gone through by the new vendor that's been working on them. I didn't really find anything too significant or damage from the sitting idle for a period of time, but definitely run into some supply chain issues on these foreign parts.
So you don't expect that Cannon 2 or which one?
EWT, yep.
Cannon 2 to be up and running for 2 months?
16 to 20 weeks.
Okay, 16, okay.
5 months probably. So, yep. We've exhausted all the avenues that we could think of pulling the motors out, taking them and having them rebuilt. They're too far gone there, so kind of limited to replacing motors with new. That's where we're at.
I know you were kind of, servicing these was going to be kind of a pain too. Are you happy with the service that was provided by these that have come out?
So far we have, yes. The contractor, EWT, or the vendor EWT, as you know, has kind of been restructured. At least they're back on, the parent company's back on this continent, not in the United States yet, but at least on the continent. And the repair team is actually out of Wisconsin. So got some local contractors, and they've done a really good job for us so far.
Anything else? Any other questions? If not, we'll move on to communications. Department reports, Jeff?
Afternoon. I think as we talked in the past, staff continue with fiber cutovers, installations. We've seen a little bit of an increase in the rural areas. Some of the mainline fiber and drops get buried, then customers are anxious to get connected. So that's increased a little bit. Our schedule's probably a little bit further than what we like, but we keep on working to draw it in and get the work completed as much as possible. We continue in zone 4. I think we've talked about some of the heat in one of the outside cabinets. We have some switches out there, so we're trying to do what we can to reduce the temperature in that cabinet, and we're doing that by consolidating some of the ponds right now. And then staff assisted the Waverly Shell Rock schools at the Southeast Elementary School, where they're creating a second data center, if you will. On the engineering side, we had a significant outage with our wholesale internet provider, which is Windstream. So for a couple of weeks, we're working with them. Fortunately, that's a backup service for us, but it was down, up and down for several days over a couple weeks. We are looking for some type of a rebate or refund on that also. We submitted our twice yearly broadband data collection information to the FCC, which includes our service territory map and includes customer counts for internet service and for phone service. They're not too interested in TV service for whatever reason. And then we did renew our agreement with ESPN and Disney. And so that increase over 4+ years is going to be somewhere around 40%. So pretty substantial increase. And then we did distribute updates to the set-top boxes for video customers, which is about 3,000 set-top boxes to resolve some known software bugs. That's it.
Thanks, Joe. Finance, Kurt?
So kind of a rinse and repeat for the electric side of the business. Kelly spent just the day-to-day functions for the billing and collection side. Completed the grade hour treasurer hunt volume requirement for the communication utility, and worked on the 20.5 budget. So that was pretty much her month in a nutshell.
And last but not least, Jen?
Yeah, just the topic that we talked about for telecom was Cool Will Rule for Schools. So that was our campaign on the newspaper, radio, and on social media. Again, just talking about the speed of what families can get for their kids to do all their new schoolwork that was coming up in the month of August. And then continued to communicate with and educate our customers via social media. So it is a way that a lot of them just follow along and keep a pinpoint on what the newest technology is, what services we're offering.
Thanks, John. Headed into closed section. Per Iowa Code 22.7, confidential competitive information, I'll entertain a motion and second to go into closed session.
Move to go into closed session.
Second.
Angie?
Brunkhorst.
Aye.
Kaler.
Aye.
Hanson.
Aye.
Buckingham.
Yes.
Kettleson.
Yes.